field is in.
Freeman liftoff, deep left field, way back. Gordon's out of room. It's out of here.
How about that?
Tyler Freeman with a 3-run homer, his 5th of the year.
The Cleveland Guardians have become exactly what the MLB didn't want them to be, and they are so good to the point where they have to talk about and acknowledge what they are doing. This team just hits and hits and hits, and the pitching has held up better than I expected with the loss of Shane Bieber, and about a month ago, it felt like a nice wave they were riding, but now it feels real. We are in June, and they are 20 games over 500, and just a few games back of the best record in the entire league. So in this video, I'm going to recap the 2 back-to-back wins over the Miami Marlins, talk about what has happened over the past week, because it has been a while since I made a video about this team, and so much more. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 30k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so let's start out with a quick recap of the first game of the Marlins series, in which the Guardians lost. This was a game that had a win feeling to it. Rocchio actually had a home run, but Logan Allen ended up giving 2 runs in 6 innings, which is a pretty solid performance, but in a rare occasion, Cade Smith in the bullpen cost the Guards this game late. But the Guards responded the right way the next day, in which they routed Miami 8-0. Things started out with a Jose Ramirez home run that should have been a 2-run home run, but Steven Kwan got caught stealing a few pitches before. Then in the top of the 3rd, Josh Naylor somehow pulled an outside pitch over the second baseman's head to make it 2-zip. Then Cleveland went nuts in the 5th inning. Steven Kwan hit a 2-run home run. After an incredible at-bat where he worked the count to his favor, Josh Naylor slapped a ground ball to opposite field through the hole to bring in a run. Then David Fry doubled to opposite field. Kyle Manzardo hit a sacrifice fly, and Will Brennan singled on a ground ball to bring in the 8th run of the game. And from there it was pretty much over, and the Marlins didn't even know what hit them. Ben Lively was outstanding in this one, pitching a shutout 5 innings, and then Pedro Avila pitched 3 innings to end the game. Anyways, moving on to the most recent win, Gabriel Arias actually started out the scoring with a 424-foot home run to deep right center in the 2nd inning. Jazz Chisholm tied it up with a 458-foot blast in the bottom of the 4th, and the Marlins took a 2-1 lead in the 5th off of a Nick Gordon single. But after this, it was pretty much all Guards. David Fry hit an RBI single to right center, Tyler Freeman hit a 3-run home run to break things open, and both teams traded punches in the 8th and 9th to end the game with a final score of 6-3, which put Cleveland 20 games over 500, which really is just crazy to say. Cookie Carrasco pitched in this one and gave up 2 runs in 4.5 innings, so I guess for his standards this year, it was one of his better performances. Really, when you look at the box score over the last few days, one single guy doesn't stand out. It has been a team effort, and different guys have contributed in different ways each day. Josh Naylor for the most part has been very cold this season. David Fry is finally starting to somewhat come back down to earth, but then Rocchio, Freeman, Kwan, and Arias hit home runs, so it has been nice to see the balance this lineup has. But if there was one guy that has been carrying a lot of the load, it's Jose Ramirez. Whenever the MLB posts a hitting stat, he is almost always number 1 or 2 on the list. He's been driving the ball out of the park, he's been great at situational hitting, he almost never strikes out, and even the hitters before and after him benefit because the pitchers are thinking about him coming up in the back of their heads. I mean, 61 RBIs through 63 games, that just shows you all that you need to know. And for David Fry, as I said, he cooled off a little bit and came back down to earth, but not really. He's still one of the best hitters in the league and gets a hit in nearly every single game. And he absolutely smoked a double to opposite field to really break the game open on Saturday. And on top of that, he can play everywhere on the field. So he's just one of those super valuable players that can produce anywhere on the diamond and is a super good locker room guy, so any team would do anything possible to have him. Anyways, basically, the Guardians dropped their series opener in large part because of not taking advantage of hitting with runners in scoring position. This wasn't the case in the finale, as Cleveland was 375 in this situation. As I said, the biggest hit of them all was a Tyler Freeman 3-run home run in the bottom of the 7th inning. Yes, Cleveland did get a nice break after a throwing error by Jake Burger, which had a good chance of being an inning-ending double play, allowing Brian Rocchio to move to 3rd base and Steven Kwan to 2nd. But the Guardians still had to convert following the miscue, and that's exactly what they did. Over the past week, the Guards have lost a little bit more than normal so far this season, but like I said, they were overdue to cool off a little bit. They are a good team that has so much potential, and I think they could reach 100 wins this season, but they are gonna hit a point somewhere in the season where they drop a few in a row, and it's all about how they respond. respond. Moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is the trade market, because the Guards are in a once every 5 years season where they are going to be buying and not selling at the deadline. I think they could really use a starting pitcher, and then Bo Bichette has been the main guy highlighted in many trade rumors regarding Cleveland. This trade would make perfect sense for both sides. Bichette is having a down year, batting around 240 after having almost 5 seasons of being around 300. The Guardians could use a more experienced shortstop that will produce more since they are in win now mode, and Cleveland also has a loaded farm and could give away a few guys that Toronto could use as they look to build for the future and also win now. Like many trades, whether a deal is worth it could come down to Toronto's asking price in terms of return for Bo. However, if we're simply analyzing whether or not this potential acquisition helps Cleveland win short term, then the trade for Bichette makes total sense for the Guardians. I know Cleveland does have a barrage of young shortstops, so it's not a total need, but like I said, Bichette would be a win now player, and a lot of players in the Guard system can play multiple positions, so it's not like you're screwing over their opportunity. Overall, this has been an incredible start to the season that nobody could have ever expected for the Guards, and the MLB is finally starting to wake up to it. And it will be interesting to see what happens with All-Star voting, because Cleveland has at least 5 All-Stars. Stephen Vogt has to be feeling pretty good about himself right now, and he has this team absolutely rolling. And like Tanner Bibee said in his in-game interview, this team sort of gives college vibes. Almost everyone likes each other, they all have a good time and hold each other accountable, and they all have each other's back. And that ultimately comes down to Austin Hedges being a leader in the clubhouse. Last year when he was gone, you could notice it. The vibes were just off, and now that he's back, this team has picked back off where they were in 2021. Coming up, the Guards face Cincinnati for the Ohio Cup, then they face Toronto and Seattle. So this is going to be a tough test and a tough road trip, and if Cleveland can win most of these games, it's really going to start to feel real that this is a contending team. And I just can't wait to see what happens over the next month or so. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point in the video, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, follow me on Instagram because I am starting to post cool sports content on there every single day, and until next time, I will see you all later.